Alright, Hazemig here. So I'm just shooting a video with my Sur Ron Light here and my Kawasaki KLX140 here. So I want to do a comparison video between these two bikes. So one of the reasons I wanted the Sur Ron bike is because it has a it's a mini bike basically. So I'm just comparing two mini bikes. The KLX140 is like a mini dirt bike sorta. Okay, so yeah, so one of the reasons I wanted to buy the Sur Ron is because I ride a mini dirt bike. So that's the KLX140 there. So this is my KLX140. It's I think a 2011 model. I think they're pretty much all the same. So this is a little bit different than a stock KLX. It has a KX front end basically. Other than that, it's pretty much a KLX140. It's a little taller than a KLX 140L. So this is the L model. This is the one with the they call it's the big wheel model, but there's actually a model that the KLX140G is actually taller than this. It has a 21-inch front and like a 19 rear or something, or 18 rear. So I just want to do a comparison video between the two bikes, because well, so now I have an electric mini bike and I have a gasoline mini bike, so it's all good. So this is the KLX140 is the bike that I use to race in enduros, and I do some supermoto stuff with it and all that stuff. It's my play bike basically, and the Sur Ron is going to be my play bike also. So so we'll start some comparisons. So the front wheels on these two bikes are exactly the same size. They look exactly the same size actually, but I verified yesterday that they are the same size. If you look in the manual, it says that a 70-119 is the tire size for the Sur Ron, and that's what these tires are. They're 70-119. Well, this one's actually it's in like inches or something. It's a 2.75 by 19, which is when you translate it to the metric standard, it's like 70-119. So they have exactly the same size front wheel. So the weird thing about the Sur Ron is it has the same size wheel in the front as it does in the back. So it's the same exact tire. It's kind of weird. So there's this 2.5 and a 19. I don't know if it's wider or anything. It looks exactly the same actually. So that is kind of, well, I guess it's like a bicycle. Bicycles have the same size tires. This one, however, has a 90-116. So it has a 16 in the back and a 19 in the yeah. So it's a 16 versus a 19. So as you can see, the Sur Ron has a taller, or it is a taller tire. It's about the same, I guess. It's just like the wheel itself is bigger. And the sprocket is like monstrous, dude. Look at the sprocket compared to, so this is the 60-tooth rear sprocket, and look at the sprocket on the, I think it's a 40-something tooth. That's a stock sprocket, I think. On the these tires are tore up. The KLX140. You can tell I ride this bike really hard. So you can see that the drive system's totally different. So I mean, it has a chain drive, but the chain is on the other side, and that being because the primary drive is this belt here. There's a belt under here. You can kind of see it peeking out there. There's a primary drive belt that goes from here, and it's like kind of like a drive shaft sort of that goes to the other side where the chain is. So the chain is on a different side on this bike. So it's flip-flopped. Chain is on the right. The KLX's chain is on the left, and then the brakes are on the other side too. So both have disc brakes. Boy, the disc brakes are actually bigger on the. They're bigger, but they have less surface area than the KLX if you look at them. So that's the rear brakes. I think the front and the rear brakes are the same size on this bike too. Yeah, these are actually, so these would have more leverage. So if you guys don't know, a bigger diameter rotor will give you more leverage. And that being said, that's a motorcycle caliper. This is like more like a bicycle caliper. Chain adjustment is roughly the same size. It's roughly the same dealie. It has this chain adjuster dealie. It has a little block here where the axle goes through it, and a little adjuster nut to help you space it properly. Same dealie, so same adjustment. Yeah. So, and that being said, since this has like the same front and rear tires, this one is wider. Yeah, this is a 2-point, or it's a 90-100. Yeah, 90. Whereas this one was what? This one is a 70. So yeah, this one's a little bit wider. It's a little bit wider, but it's a smaller diameter. So you got the this is a bigger diameter, but it's thinner in the rear than this one. So that should help it go over rocks and stuff better, right? All right, so and then you kind of look at the foot. So I kind of try to line up the front wheels as much as possible. They're pretty much got the same dimensions. The KLX looks taller. You look at, yeah, it looks a lot taller. It's a few inches taller, dude. So like Sur Ron is small, is a little bit smaller on the seat height for sure. I've tried to get the bikes standing up as tall as they could. I put a little chalk over there. So yeah, you can see the KLX kind of just eclipses the Sur Ron bike a little bit. So this size-wise, the KLX is a little bigger, but that's to be expected. The KLX weighs like 200 pounds-ish. I weighed it one time. It was like about 200 pounds. Whereas the Sur Ron weighs only like 100 pounds. It's super lightweight. Super lightweight. And if you look at the forks are roughly the same. Okay, so yeah, another difference between the forks is this one has a upside down fork, and this has a right side up fork. Right, like the fork tubes travel downward, whereas this one they travel upward. Supposedly the upside down ones are better because they have there's less mass on the front of the wheel, but honestly I don't think it really matters. It depends how good your forks are, man. But yeah, the fork tubes are almost the same. We can go. Let's bust out a caliper and see. So I got my friend Mr. Caliper here. We'll get some measurements for the forks here. So we got a 36 millimeter, and then right here on the bottom we got a 36 millimeter. So they got the exact same fork sizes actually. So yeah, man, it's a real deal, man. It just looks smaller because it looks smaller because it's a right side up fork. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then you can look at the fenders. The Sur Ron doesn't come with the front fender stock, so the previous owner added this little fender to it. I guess it works okay, but I installed a really big fender. This fender is like supposed to go up to like here or something. So yeah, it's a little different. So yeah, the Sur Ron is taller for sure, man. Look at how tall the handlebars are. It's monstrous if you look at the handlebars. Handlebars are good, probably like a foot taller or something. So like I said, when I said it felt like you were riding a sport bike, sorta, or like a cafe racer, it really does, because the bike is really it's really low, and then the seat is long. You can just stick your butt out, you know. It feels like you're riding a cafe racer bike. That's what it feels like when you're riding it. But I plan to later get a tall bar. So this bar is like a drag bar. It kind of goes out forward, and yeah, it goes out forward, and then and it makes you lean forward. This one is a more kind of like relaxed riding position, and like I need it. I'm trying to set this bike up for dirt biking, so yeah. So I don't have the stock bar for this bike, so just is how I got it, you know. So let's talk about the fuel tank. So here's your fuel tank on the Sur Ron bike, right here. Your battery pack. So you got this whole dealie here is the battery pack right here. Whereas the fuel tank on this guy, it's kind of like where this one is vertical, this one is kind of horizontal. Kind of goes like from here to like here. It's got a little plastic cover over it. It's roughly in the same place. It's where you would want it. That's where you want to put the mass of the bike, in the center. And same thing with the engine. So the engine is like in the center of the bike, as low as possible. So if you look at where the engine is over there, we got our motor right here. So pretty much it's kind of like you got a really long engine on the yeah, it's kind of like you got a really long engine on the Sur Ron if you add the battery pack to the motor, but the motor is like so much smaller. This is where your power is coming from. This guy, this power output's right here. All your power is right there, and you don't have a transmission, any of that. Well, you kind of do have a transmission, sort of. You have like a gear reduction system here, the primary drive. So, yeah, man, that's how it's gonna be able to so light, you know. So that's a 140cc motor on a motorcycle compared to electric motor. Just this, boom. But the battery is like huge, boom. But roughly the battery is almost the same size as the gas tank. So is it heavier than a gas tank? Yeah, probably heavier than the gas tank, a fully loaded gas tank. I'd say that's, well, it's a small tank though. I would say the ranges are probably similar too. I think I've taken this out to like 30 or 40 miles maybe, and then it might run out of gas. Yeah. Shocks. So let's take a look at the shocks. So this one's at more like an angle here. It's almost like it's almost pointing like into like a 2 o'clock position right here. Yeah, so this has a more vertical shock if you look at it. Yeah, it's beefier too. It's got a bigger shock on it. Both of these shocks have compression and rebound on it. I think they do. Yeah, they do. Both of them do. That one has a beefier shock on it. We'll have to see how this one does off-road. I haven't ridden this off-road yet. So. Kind of linkage types. So this one has a linkage, the linkages underneath the bike right here. See, while this one has the linkages, it's on top of the swing arm is what I'm saying. So the linkage is on top of the swing arm, whereas opposed to that one is on the bottom. Which one is better? I don't know, man. We're just kind of looking at the design differences. So this does have a brake in the front left, whereas this one has a brake on the front left. This one's a little bit bigger. I think they're roughly the same size. This one just looks a lot more beefier. But yeah, those are bicycle brakes, like I mentioned earlier. Yeah. And this one kind of have a fork brace. The KLX does not have a fork brace on it, per se. You know, it does not. So that does make it stiffer. Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder which one is And then yeah, so this one has the taller bars. Probably the forks. It looks like the forks are. Yeah, the forks are a little bit taller on that one. Yeah, so there's probably a little more travel on the front end on that KLX. So I'm just looking at it. The front end looks a lot taller, dude. Yeah, it's a few inches. The KLX is a little more, a couple more inches on the Sur Ron. Yeah, but like I said, that's a KX front end. That's a heavy duty forks. Yeah. So there's no exhaust pipe because it's electric. This one's got the exhaust pipe right here. What else? The fenders are longer. This one has a longer fender. The seat's longer on this too. It's pretty comfortable bike to ride though, the Sur Ron. I was surprised how comfortable it was to ride. What else? Other differences? There's no the rear brakes. So the rear brake, you actuate it from the right, like a motorcycle, from the right pedal. Right here. Here we have a left handlebar rear brake right here. So that's what runs this here. Yeah. So. Lengthwise, they're about the same. If anything, the Sur Ron is probably like a tad. Let's go. Yeah, it looks like the Sur Ron is a little bit longer. Or no, they look like they're the same actually. Yeah, you tell me. Like they look almost the same length. The wheelbase and everything, almost the same. Of course, the wheel is bigger on the other one, so yeah, all the dimensions. So you know, A Sur Ron is basically an electric version of a mini bike, like a 140cc mini bike, mini dirt bike. So, but yeah, there's a lot of components. There's a lot of components that are like a mountain bike. Okay, like the fork looks like it's from a mountain bike, even though it's the same size fork. The axles might be bigger on this. I'm not sure. The ground clearance, dude, look at this Sur Ron, man. It's got a lot of ground clearance. I measured it yesterday. It was 10.5 inches. So yeah, if you look at them, they literally have the same ground clearance. So this bike was definitely set up for to do some off-road riding. I've gotten my KLX over some pretty hairy stuff, so I'm expecting this bike to, you know, it's got the ground clearance to go over rocks and stuff. I've hit stuff really hard though. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think a controller would get hit, but I see the controller there in the front. I was like, I hope you don't hit a rock really hard and bash the controller, you know? That would suck. Let's try not to do that. There's nothing to damage in the front of the KLX, besides maybe the exhaust pipe. I've never hit the exhaust pipe on my KLX in the front here, so maybe this controller will be fine where it is, you know. Yeah, maybe that'll be fine where it is. I'm kind of looking at it like, it's in the front of the bike. It's gonna hit stuff, man. Yeah, but the motor's like, it's high and it's tucked up in there. It's got an interesting looking bash plate too. If anything, there's less stuff to damage on this bike than that bike. And I've ridden that through some pretty hairy stuff, so I can't wait to ride it off road, man. Foot pegs. So foot pegs are roughly in the same place. Look at it. Yeah, they are. They are, but they're much lower. So yeah, that may be an issue. Yeah, that may be an issue. The foot pegs, they're way fucking lower, dude. Look at them. Yeah, I might need to put like a riser on that or something. They might hit stuff, you know, and it'll break. So, yeah, the foot pegs are way taller on the KLX. So like where this one comes up here, it's like right here is where the foot pegs are on the KLX. So I actually like a lower foot peg, but I know from having my lowered foot pegs on my DR650, you don't want that. You don't want that when you're riding off-road. You want it to be as tall as possible. So, but maybe that would make it so it would be more comfortable to ride when I get taller bars. So the handlebar is taller, foot pegs are much taller. They're all of those are taller. The seat height is taller. Overall, the dimensions of the bike roughly the same. The dimensions of the two bikes are roughly the same. Same kind of fork. The fork is a little bit taller on that one, a little bit longer. I'd imagine the KLX probably has a little more suspension travel than the Sur Ron. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. I know for sure probably the front probably has less travel because it's a shorter fork, basically, and I still have to get the suspension tuned. Yeah, and let's see how wide the bikes are. Yeah, the KLX looks a lot meatier for sure, dude. It's got a lot more meat to it. Yeah. Frame is almost very similar frames. Yeah, actually, the way the Sur Ron has had a beautiful frame. I'll tell you that, man. It looks so beefy, and like, look at the welds. They're beautiful, man. It's like so this one, it looks like it's actually got a thinner frame. I don't know if it's I think this is steel though. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. I think that's steel. Hold on. Alright, one way to find out if it's aluminum or steel. It's steel. Okay, so there you go. There's a difference. This has an aluminum frame. Okay, it doesn't stick to it. all aluminum. All this has an aluminum swing arm, I know that, but everything else is steel on it. So that's one way the Sur Ron is lighter, and that aspect is it has an aluminum frame. And I don't think, I mean, the bike, the components are lighter on this bike. It doesn't really need, you know, steel frame, you know. But we'll see. We'll see how strong it is. I'm gonna put it through its paces. What else? Yeah, so I mean, two bikes are very comparable, as and it's one of the reasons I wanted the Sur Ron, is because it's just like the KLX. I love riding the KLX, and I have a feeling I'm gonna have a blast riding the Sur Ron. So there it is. That's the comparison between the Sur Ron Light B and the Kawasaki KLX140 that has a KX front end. So, well, yeah, they're roughly the same size. Definitely the Sur Ron is much lighter than that one, and brakes almost the same. This one has a motorcycle brakes, this one has a kind of like a mountain bike brakes. It's got like a swing arm and everything, and yeah, it is the real deal. I'm very impressed with this bike, so we'll see how it is throughout my ownership, though. Yeah, I am very impressed with this bike. It's my first, actually this is my first Chinese bike too. Might I add. Yeah, all my bikes are either, I have a bunch of Japanese bikes and I have one American bike, the Victory back there. So yeah, I'm totally excited to get this Sur Ron, and I'm going to be setting it up very similar to this bike. But you know another difference between the two bikes is, boom! I got a plate on this one. I can ride it on the street. so yeah, it'll be awesome. All right, so there it is. Let's do a quick walk around and then compare the two bikes real quick. All right, another comparison we can make is the price. So I paid like $38.50 for this guy yesterday, and the KLX I paid only like $2,100. So literally, this Sur Ron bike is twice the cost of that bike. Well, I bought both bikes used, and I'm pretty sure that KLX was a lot more beat up than my Sur Ron. So, but yeah. Literally, that's double the cost right there, so hopefully it's double the fun. We'll find out. Alright, here's the guy. Okay, so another thing I noticed between the two bikes when I was pulling it back into the garage is the forks they're spaced not as far apart on this bike. Basically, it's not very scientific, but I can grab both forks, and this one I cannot. Let's go for the top here. I can almost grab both forks, almost, but not quite. But this one looks bigger. This one looks bigger on the top, just because it's like an upside down fork. The bigger part is on the top, whereas this one, the bigger part's on the bottom. But these are spaced out a little bit less than that bike. So it's another comparison I noticed. And another comparison is this one has a key. This one has a key. This one doesn't. This has just a button. There is no kill switch. There is no kill switch on this bike. That's another interesting thing to note about. Motorcycles have kill switches. All of them do, even my electric bike. This one does not. It has a safety switch on the kickstand. That's about it. So that's another thing that's kind of missing. There's no kill switch for it. Because what happens if the throttle gets pinned open, right? And, oh yeah, actually, you know what? This bike has I think it has a tilt sensor on it. When it tilts more than like a certain degrees, it kills the engine. So like if you drop the bike, it kills the engine. So that's your, it's like an automatic kill switch sort of safety, from what I heard. I haven't tested it out yet, but yeah. So it kind of does have an auto kill switch, sort of, kind of, in a sense. So that way, if you did drop the bike and like the throttle was like pinned open or whatever, it won't just like freaking go crazy and just keep on spinning, you know. Whereas this one has a kill switch like right here. All right, and this one has handguards. I do plan to get some handguards for this. Don't want my hands to get all beat up, right? Especially they're good to have too. Especially if I want to, I want to do some supermoto track days with this too. I want to get some bars, some handguards, so you get something, so your bike slides when it hits the ground, you know, type of thing. All right, that's another couple little differences I noticed. Oh yeah, so another one is like, yeah, this one has a clutch, obviously. It's a clutch right here, whereas this one just has a brake right here. It's another difference. It's got a gas cap, or you have a charge port right here, and it's got no spark plugs. Yeah. All right, here's what we got.